One thing I want to mention too, this is insane because I'm a guitar player. I'm a musician. You know, I play drums for 7 years and then switched to guitar for like 8 years, and then, so I know a little bit about music. And this guy is playing a guitar right-handed, upside down. For all those people that don't understand, that is
I didn't even notice
not
that.
the standard way to play. But the strings are upside down. If you take a close look, go ahead and go to this angle right here.
Yeah.
This is the E string.
Wow.
This is the high E, and he's playing it upside down, right-handed.
Yeah.
So normally,
that's why you went like this right now.
So normally, if you're a left-handed guitar player, you would play with this format, but on the other way.
Yeah. Switch
Like that. So the top string is on the top.
Yeah.
But he's doing it upside down too.
I didn't
he's
even
playing all that
notice that.
stuff backwards and upside down.
And that happened because my dad has nice left-handed guitars, and
You had to learn.
and there's you can kind of cheat the system and come up with new. And that's pretty hard to do when you're not playing upside down. And
So
backwards,
it just goes that much deeper if you really look at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Word Exchange, episode 19. Obviously, your host, Miguel Chavez. I got Daniel Monreal with us again.
What's going on, guys?
And we got another guest, Josh Gastelum. Josh has a degree in music.
Screamo.
A degree in music composition.
You have a degree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Like a third degree, like a burn. It's on fire. I'm just kidding.
You are fire. I've heard you play.
Self-proclaimed.
So I remember the first time hearing him play, like grand piano was at a wedding. That was the first time I heard him actually throw down. It was like right before the reception. It was in the foyer of the hotel or resort. What was it?
Whose wedding?
I don't remember. Was it Debbie Ruth's?
They're divorced now, so they're just playing.
I was about to name somebody too. I was like, oh, is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was about to name. No, maybe it was Debbie and Emmanuel's wedding.
I don't think. Was it?
Or Jessica Martinez? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It was
someone.
It was
a piano, and I was attracted
don't matter.
to it.
So it was a wedding, and he just threw down, man. It was just like one of those. You ever see the movie The Pianist?
Pianist. The pianist.
Wait, is that how you pronounce it?
Just say pianist.
What did you?
I thought it was penis.
You don't have to be
Oh my
bougie like that.
gosh.
Just pianist.
No, so I am saying it correct though.
No, just
Pianist.
pianist. It's
No,
pianist.
let's see.
Pia.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Why do you have me on this podcast? This is dangerous.
You're not talking
This
about
is
music, my
sketchy.
guy. Just say piano.
I know how to say pianist, dude. It's not hard.
There you go.
But I asked somebody one time, how do you say it? Maybe they were just throwing a joke at me, like, this is how
Oh my
you say it,
God.
bro.
I've always just heard pianist.
Yeah, it's not
It's
your other
simple.
word.
Let's see.
Anyways,
It's like people in my last name. They're like Gastelum. Gastelum.
Pianist.
See?
Listen again.
Pianist.
no,
Pianist.
pianist.
It's pianist.
It's
Anyways, have you
Yeah.
seen Pianist?
No.
Scratch all that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Word Exchange podcast. This is your not host, Daniel Monreal, along with the real host,
Oy
Miguel
vey,
Chavez.
I'm not talking today. How did you first get into music, man? What was your inspiration to even pick up the guitar or whatever?
I would say so my dad. Some people know my dad, some people don't. But his name is Juan Gastelum, but people just call him PC. When he was a kid, he was always in trouble. And
That's the man, bro.
People would always say Puessy because he was always in trouble. Of course. So it just morphed into PC. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how I got his.
Your dad was my drill instructor in '99.
That's what he told me. That's what he
boot
told
camp.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was everybody's drill
I
instructor.
still haven't forgiven him,
Yeah.
but that's for another
Hey,
podcast.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
We'll do a podcast on bitterness.
Ooh.
And then
You can premiere me.
Fix
yeah,
that weird
we'll
limp.
try to
Yeah,
deliver you.
That's why I'm short.
Yeah.
I
His
never
bitterness
forgave.
is so bad, both legs
Yes.
shrunk.
Yeah.
Not just one.
Remember, it was like a holy moment at the altar call, right? And Julio Blanco came up to me. He's like, "Can you pray for me?" I'm like, this pastor wants me to pray for him. He's like, "Okay, what do you want me to pray for you for?" He's like, "I want to be taller." I'm like,
He just took you up here.
Yeah.
And
so anyway, yeah. I guess I just grew up around it. My dad was in like a Christian metal band, Sons of Thunder. And so those are my earliest memories of music. Just being, I remember they had those huge amps that were like probably this tall, like as tall as a person, stacked on top of each other. And so I remember climbing the amps and, you know, probably getting kicked off the amp. But I just remember when I was a kid just climbing the amps and listening to the, like, I remember covering my ears because how loud it was, but just just listening to shred metal. So I just grew up around it, and so then I just think I naturally gravitated towards it. And then we had a piano, and so my mom taught me to play some piano at a young age. Just like, hey, here's the basics. Here's how to read music. You know, this line means this. This note means this. And so I just started doing it. And I don't remember how I felt about it. I was just doing it because it was part of my school. I was homeschooled, kindergarten through 12th grade. So my little sister, Jazzy, she's learning music. She's 10.
Your whole family is musically inclined. Like, they all play something, right?
Yeah.
Even your mom? Does she
My mom
plays bass, right? Or what does she
So she learned bass for the band, but she plays piano. Daniel plays guitar and bass, a little bit of sax. Julia plays violin, guitar, and piano. Dad plays guitar. I play a couple instruments, and then Jazzy's learning piano.
Gosh, I can't even play Fortnite, bro.
Just play the radio. Just
Fortnite's
you know.
Can't play nothing, bro.
Takes skill to play Fortnite.
I play drums, but like
Just-
very basic.
So you were homeschooled. Your mom was teaching you the
Mom
basics.
was teaching me the basics, and I don't know how it happened. I just fell in love with music. I just loved playing music, and the more, I guess it was frustrating, like going through high school and kind of grades. Like you had to learn how to play something really hard, and you had to sit there for maybe an hour to 2 hours, and you had to spend a whole night just practicing, messing up, darn it, and then redoing it again. So that was the hard, unenjoyable part about music. Is just you messed up, do it again. You messed up, do it again until you get it right. But eventually, once you started getting that muscle memory, the stuff that was hard just came naturally. So that's when I really fell in love with like just being able to play music. And I started playing at church for Vision when I was 11 years old. They were like, hey, we want you to play for the worship team. I probably begged. I was like, I want to play. I don't know how it went. I don't know how it happened, but I just love playing music. So I played for the worship team.
Did you play keyboard while I was leading worship?
For Vision?
Yeah.
Were you there when Jaime Alegria was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
You know what? In elementary, I wanted to play the tuba. Is that the
trombone?
The trombone, but my arms they're not long enough, so I couldn't reach notes.
Oh, the low notes.
Forget this.
Yeah.
So then, my teacher's all like, "Okay, you're gonna learn how to play baritone."
Nice.
Bro, in elementary, I was like 3'0", right?
Wow.
And the baritone was bigger than me. So there I am, carrying it to band class, this big old huge case. But I was good at it, and I got accepted into honor band.
Ooh, fancy.
That was in 5th grade, and then 6th grade came, and I went
Drugs.
from...
Other things.
Sex trafficking. I mean...
6th grade.
6th grade came, I went to middle school, and I started seeing,
6'2" players.
girls in a different light. So
Yeah.
my attention went from school and grades to girls, and I ended up no longer playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, baritone's huge. It's like a smaller version of the tuba.
You went from
So-
playing to player?
I was not a player,
Oh,
bro.
okay.
I'm not gonna pretend.
Okay.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So,
Hallelujah.
when you were 12 years old, you actually went to Colorado to like was it a summer?
Yeah, it was
Camp?
just a summer classical music camp in the Rockies.
So how did you get into that? That actual like
So I
classical camp.
I think I entered high school when I was 14 or 13, somewhere in there. So I was getting close to entering high school, and I was enrolled in. So my mom taught me what she knew, but there was like a free. It's called Tucson Symphony Women's Association, and there are just a bunch of classical people who played in the symphony or who were just classical musicians, and they were training kids how to play music for free. And so we hopped on board. So I learned, I just started taking more piano classes and learning to read music, and I hated reading music with a passion. But so I started doing that, and then being the show off I am, I was just like always jamming. Like I was like, okay, I did my homework, and then I'm just gonna do what I do. And so eventually I wrote a piece, and then they had a concert at the end of the year, so you can show what you've been working on. And so I had already done all my homework. I had done all the stuff I was supposed to learn, and I was like, hey, can I play this piece? And the teacher's like, yeah, sure, play the piece. And so I played just a piano piece that I wrote.
You blew their minds.
Enough to where an older gentleman is like, hey, I'm going to give you a scholarship, and I'm going to send you and your mom, because you need to chaperone. I was a little kid. So he's like, you need a chaperone, so I'm going to send you and your mom to this camp. It's a 2.5 week camp in the Rockies, and so they kind of just taught us. But that was a really formative experience. Like musically, I was a 12-year-old kid, attention hog, show off. That was who I was. And I just loved playing music, and all those things were combined. So I was eating it up. But at the same time, it was my first. So I'm a church kid, born and raised in church my whole life, always around godly things. And I remember that was my first experience outside of church. Like,
in the real world.
I was homeschooled. So like, I was constantly sheltered, and that's a good thing. I grew up pretty innocent, but when I was 12, I hit the real world, and I was like, I just remember being in camp and playing music, but all the joy that I had associated with music in church was kind of disconnected. Like, I couldn't feel the presence of God in what was happening there. Like, you're in church, and I remember being at Saturday Night Live, and Pastor Gonzalez, screaming, and Jesus, and then testimonies and altar calls, and there was a joy to it. And I remember once I went to this fancy bougie, classical music world, it was a lot of pressure. I saw kids melting down, breaking down. They're performing. They had been paid for. There's like a $7,000 camp, and so kids my age were under such great pressure that they would mess up and they just break down.
Question: was there a lot of like Asians?
No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question, because
Asians?
They're
because
very well known.
So the Chinese
their
language.
parents are like, you're gonna play.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
And I took a course in Eastern Asian civilization, and education is paramount. It's like paramount.
I just thought that the education part I knew of.
But as far as
music,
and it's a correct stereotype, because it's correct.
And that's why
it's
I said it.
absolutely correct, because
Yeah.
so when I went to college, tons and tons of so there at the camp there's a Taiwanese gentleman, forgot his name. I didn't even know. I was like, where's Taiwan? I was like, is that in China? He's like, no, it's not China. But
I know that education brings honor to the family.
Yeah.
And if you don't do good, then you're bringing dishonor to the family.
Yeah.
So.
And they have a natural advantage because their language is tonal. You guys had Corey on, and he talked to you about ma and ma and all the different ways that meaning happens by pitch.
Yeah.
So they're trained by the way they speak to recognize pitch. And music is all about recognizing pitch and hearing that. So
they hear it.
They have a leg up. That's why you see so many Asian excellent musicians, is because they're from birth, they're trained in recognizing this stuff.
Oh wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's a huge element.
Dang, dude.
Anyway,
So you see these kids breaking down.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was like I loved music, but then when I went to that camp, like it was music, the passion without God. And I broke down, like not under stress, but I was, I went to my mom's cabin. I'm like, Mom, I'm so sad. I just broke down. It was my first, welcome to the real world. And so I was like, man, like there's no joy here. It's just work, and there's no God and there's no Jesus. And I took all that for granted, even as a kid. I was just so used to it. But once this was my huge change. It was 1 week where I was sheltered my whole life, playing bluegrass gospel with my family, going to concerts, being in church, Jesus saturated, and then completely estranged. Like I was right with God. I was praying and reading my Bible every morning, but just completely estranged from all that I knew. And I just saw, it was formative for me because I saw what happened when music became an idol. Like everyone there, music was it. I was talking to my counselors, and they were college students, and the professors, and the mindset there was music is everything. Like that is the reason I'm living. It's for music.
Well, if you're gonna spend that type of money, and travel. How many? I mean, you travel from Arizona to Colorado. You said.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was people there from all over the world, right?
My roommate was from India.
Yeah. See, so
yeah.
you're gonna spend that type of money. It's because
you better have commitment.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So musical theory,
Yep.
or music theory, whatever you want to call it, right? So what's the foundation of musical theory? Because every theory has a foundation.
Yeah.
That's built upon. So what is music theory built upon? What's the foundation of that theory?
Basically, I think the best way to describe it is it's a way of categorizing what happens naturally. So like someone will do something, and then a guy behind a desk with a pen will look at it. And it's like science for music. Science is observation, hypothesis, experimentation. They observe what happens, then they theorize about it, they think about it. Why is this? They start, and then they experiment with it. And if it holds true, it becomes a scientific law. And they say, this is the case. This is solid. My theory's been proven by, the proof is in the pudding, right? Okay. So in music, what happens is, so classical music developed before Christ. So the reason music theory is most heavily rooted in classical music because classical music spans millennia. It started with the earliest. I took some music history classes in college, and they talked about how the earliest categorization where people started putting things on paper. Because back in the day, people would have like a harp or a lute, and they just pass things on by memory. Like, hey, here's how to. It's just like we do it in church all the time. Like, hey, I got this sick riff, man. Check it out. Yeah. Boom, boom, and then it'll change. And the problem is like it's not always consistent because you pass it on, but you don't write it down. It's just someone, they'll change a note here and there. So music theory started when I think it was in Greece, where people started creating modes. Like you ever heard John Grid talking about Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, all those crazy Idian.
No idea.
So
he likes to bring that stuff up because he knows you probably don't know about it. He's like, hey, you ever heard of this? He just does it. And you're like,
sound all smart.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I've never heard of that.
His glasses grow as he talks about it.
The only Idian I've heard of is Gideon.
Gideon, yeah.
That's all.
So music theory started with the Greeks categorizing modes, and over time, music exploded as the church exploded. So it kind of was self-contained, but as the church, as Jesus came, the gospel started. Jesus, died and rose again. As people were persecuted and churches started, music developed in church.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that happened?
So part of it is because, I guess I would think, it's as simple as Christians are being persecuted and spread all over the world. And so they sing hymns in church. Yeah. And so they need a way to categorize and pass this on. And so back in the day, there's something, how you have sheet music and you have like all the lines and dots. So monks, I forget all the time periods. I just kind of know the general. It's been like a couple years since I studied this stuff. But monks did something called neumes, which were just gestures. And then, and so they just started getting the foundations of music together. And over time, everyone got more specific, but it happened within the church. Like the reason why Catholics will sing everything in church is because back in the day, they didn't have microphones, but they had these huge cathedrals and the sound needed to carry. So
echo.
They needed to echo. So,
that's why they built the cathedrals, like with those type of acoustics.
So that it's with the message in mind. That's why in Catholic Church, that wasn't started necessarily in Catholicism. That started with, take my word with a grain of salt because I'm working off of. It's been years since I studied this stuff, but I know that cathedrals were designed acoustically to be sung in so that the message could carry to hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow.
And so music really developed in the church. Music theory, and so the most basic to wrap it up, music theory is cool stuff happens in music, and there's a scientist who will sit down and say why. And then once they know why, they know how to manipulate it to their advantage.
So after your
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah. So like if you look at the experience at the
Band
camp, at the camp, right?
Band camp.
band camp,
It's no, not at all. This is
one time at band
back
camp,
to work. This is
Let's call it what it is. It was band camp.
yeah.
I'm just playing.
In the words of
It was a
Pastor
very
all
expensive
the 1990
band camp.
kids are like, I know where that's from.
yeah.
My son says I should go to fat camp.
Heavyweights.
Yeah, but he really said that.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Oh heck yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
What's his Ben Stiller.
Oh.
Yeah, Ben
it's
Stiller.
funny.
Yeah.
I know. So it was cool because when I was 12, I'm just a kid, but I realized the emptiness of just music by itself. I was like, man, I love music, but there's something not right. So I had this kind of developing, and then I was doing classes through my high school, and then I took my first composition class in my senior year of high school, where I started not just playing on piano, but started composing music. And so like I was always making things up, but the difference between having an idea and composing is like anyone will just have an idea and do it, but a composer is trained on how to work with one idea and break it apart and just use like a single idea to create a whole piece. And
So, are there notes to every single instrument out there? Like, if you're a drummer,
Yeah.
are there notes to drum? Like, this means hi-hat, this means
There's-
snare, this
so
means...
I wrote a piece recently for a percussionist, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, he wanted he had like 4 different. He had metal. It was a train piece, so he had metal railroad spikes like the nails. Metal piece of just a piece of metal. Then he had a piece of wood. Then he had 3 toms. Then he had 2 gongs and a bass pedal. All those are unpitched. So a note means a pitch. Like what happens in just physics is if I sing a note, do. If you break down the actual wave, it's a reoccurring pattern, and that's what makes it a pitch. But if I clap my hands, if you break down the actual wave, the wave pattern is irregular. So basically, not every instrument has a pitch, as far as do, but they do have a sound.
Wow.
So it just depends.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, transitioning, realized music without God was empty. And was super important is right when I was graduating high school and I played my last thing for that music camp, I got a word from Pastor Gonzalez, Freddie, who sang in my dad's heavy metal band.
Yeah.
And
Junior.
yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah, Sons of Thunder.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That year, boot camp,
Yeah.
99, Sons of Thunder played.
Nice.
We started moshing, like up in the front, and then we all got rebuked, man. We got home. Oh, dude. Yeah, we got chewed out for that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Too
go
much passion for Jesus, or not for Jesus.
ahead. Oh
Just
yeah,
passion.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
So yeah, no, I got a really crystal clear. And this was one of the moments where I knew God was real, because I'd been hanging out with friends, and I was figuring out my convictions, and we talked about this standards, just who am I gonna be, and just to be honest and open and real, we would just be talking, and people would be joking about things that were inappropriate, that were wrong, and I would laugh because it's funny, I just laugh, and then I just felt the conviction of God, like, this is not who I've called you to be. So I would laugh, and then every time I'd apologize. It was just a cycle. I was like, hey guys, I shouldn't have laughed at that. I'm sorry. I don't want to. And they just like, don't ruin this for us.
So why do you think music has such? Because if you talk about the Bible, right? You hear about kings say, hey, they're stressed out or they're angry or whatever. They have somebody with the harp come in, right?
Yeah.
And that would kind of soothe them, right? That's music, right? That's an instrument that people play. fast forward to today, why do you think that music has such an influence over people in the sense of either good or bad? Some people, when they're stressed out or they're going through stuff, they put on music. Or people, when, if people want to feel happy, they put on this type of music. Why do you think that music has such an influence on both spectrums, both good or bad?
I can only tell you from my personal experience with it. I don't have all the answers.
No, that's fine. I mean, just
wait. You don't have all the answers?
No.
Cut.
Oh my gosh.
Cut. Never again.
Never again.
No. From your perspective, you know what I'm saying?
So I remember one time I was in college and I listened to this just beautiful piece of music and I broke down in class. I wasn't like weeping, but I was tearing up. And I was like, why in the world am I crying? And I was going through a stressful time, but it's just this piece of music just touched me on a deep level. So I think it's just has that emotional pull, like certain things in music. So music, you think about life, and we're deeply touched or moved when there's a relationship, right? You have a wife and you're moved or you're touched or you're compelled because of your relationship with her, or like a Christian's relationship with God, they'll be moved. Music is all about relationship. If you take one note by itself, it's just a note. But if you combine it with another one, it creates a harmony, and there's a connection, a gravitation, a pull between those two. You put 3 notes together, it creates a chord, and all those, you can actually hear it on guitar. There's a buzz. There's a physical, audible. I'm going to show you right now.
Yeah, let me.
No, yeah.
Before you go into it, let me do this.
That's good.
Anyway, so I guess I can kind of recap all the thought, because you were asking me ago, like, what going into college. So yeah, I got a word from that pastor, and he's like, hey Josh, God's giving you some musical chops, but they're for his glory. God's got a reason for them, and God has seen you when you made stands when no one else would. I was talking about being with the friends. And so like going into college, pick it that.
I'll get it.
All right. Going into college, I had a clear perspective from God. It's like, I see you. I was there, because it was crazy. All that stuff, those challenges with my friends, where I was laughing at things I shouldn't be laughing about, but I repented constantly. And I thought I failed God. Like, I kept messing up. And we were in the back. We were just by ourselves. No one else saw. And God told me that night. He's like, look, you've made stands for me. Yeah. Even when I failed, God counted it as a stand because I repented. And he said, I have a plan for music for your life. And so going into college, I was like, okay, God's with me in this. So that's kind of the transition. But
show us some stuff, dude. Show us what you're talking about.
So you said you have one note, but when you add it to 2, it turns into a what?
There's a
tone, a pitch, you said?
It's called harmony.
Called a harmony.
The definition of harmony is any 2 notes sounding together. Any 2 notes. So check it out. So you got
Catch that, Myrna?
All right. She's off. No. So you got one note, right? And what I want you to listen to I want you to listen to if you can hear like a buzz or vibration.
So the next one is 2.
So here's
harmony?
2. So here's it's called a fourth, and this is part of a chord. So you can't really hear that much of a buzz. We're talking about relationship, right? The reason music has impact on people is rooted in relationship. So check out these 2 notes together. Look it. Right? It's a little bit more intense. Or if you watch, I'm gonna bend this one up, and you're gonna hear the tension resolve as the notes conform. Watch. And hear it smooth out at the end. One more time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You hear that smooth out?
Yeah.
So basically, for me, when I listen to music and it moves me, there's a strong relationship in the harmony. It's in rhythm. If you take a rhythm, you have, I'm going off track. So those are 2 notes, right? And these are 2 pretty ugly when it's that close. But if you separate it, And so you have let's say you have this note up here, and you have this note, right? So together, it sounds harsh. But if you give it some distance and put it down here, same note, same frequency, but a couple octaves down, and then you get this distance between it, less harsh. And then you add all the other notes and all the other relationships and all the other pushes and pulls, you get a chord that sounds beautiful.
So the closer,
the more intense it is, and the further, the more placid and smooth it is. You can actually see it if you get like a wave frequency. You can see it go when it's super close, and then when it's farther apart. Oh yeah, so it's cool.
I think what you just said is really deep.
Yeah, so it's that's the reason music
tight.
Music moves people, because it's built on relationships. It's and what's crazy is, so you think about
that tattooed.
And here's another cool thing. The reason why music works. So I was talking to Miguel about this earlier, but I guess you want me to kind of go into
ahead,
that?
dude. Get into it.
Yeah. No. So
one thing I want to mention too. This is insane because I'm a guitar player. I'm a musician. You know, I play drums for 7 years and then switched to guitar for like 8 years, and then so I know a little bit about music. And this guy is playing a guitar right-handed, upside down. For all those people that don't understand, that is
I didn't even notice
not
that.
the standard way to play. But the strings are upside down. If you take a close look, go ahead and go to this angle right here.
yeah.
This is the E string.
Wow.
This is the high E, and he's playing it upside down, right-handed.
Yeah.
So normally,
that's why you went like this right now.
So So normally, if you're a left-handed guitar player, you would play with this format, but on the other way,
Yeah. Switch
like that. So the top string is on the top.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's doing it upside down
That's
too.
I didn't
he's
even
playing all that
notice that.
stuff
Yeah.
backwards and upside down.
And that happened because my dad has nice left-handed guitars, and
You had to learn.
there's you can
Wow.
kind of cheat the system and come up with new. And that's pretty hard to do when you're not playing upside down and backwards.
So it just goes that much deeper if you really look at it.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so I was gonna say something cool. So you can kind of see God's handiwork. So we talk about the reason.
You can see Josh's handiwork too.
Forget God. You got Josh.
No. Go ahead.
Oy vey. My head's like.
No. We're gonna deflate
That's
it
good.
real
We'll
quick.
Deflate it.
Yeah, we'll deflate it right now.
You guys got me. All right.
Yeah, we got you.
No, so basically, we're not talking about musical taste. We're just talking about the nuts and bolts of music, a chord, right?
Yeah.
So God put chords into physics. So basically, there's something called overtones. I'm gonna demonstrate it, but every note contains several notes.
What about Deftones?
It's a great band.
No.
Ba-dum-tsh.
So each note contains several notes on top of it, and those notes create a chord. And so listen to the bottom note, right? E. So now I'm gonna play the harmonic, right? Right? It's twice as high. What's happening is when you play the whole string vibrates and creates the low note you hear. But there's multiple segments of the strings vibrating at the same time that create. So now when I play, listen for do. And so that's the octave. And then, let me see. Listen for that note. It's in the low, it's quieter, but you listen for it.
Yeah.
Can you hear it up there?
Yeah.
You tend to hear it more at the end of the note.
At the end of the note.
Yeah.
And then there's another note down here called the third. Where it is? There it is. So this is this section of the string that's just vibrating by itself when you play the lower note, and it's right? Now listen for that one. Can you hear it up there? It becomes really hard.
Towards the end.
Towards the end. So all those three notes are in one single note just because of physics, because it's designed. So basically, in a single note, God laid out a major chord. E major, right? You have the bottom, do, and then, right? And then you have the third. So music works when you just follow the blueprint. Like, it's a part of physics.
So I guess the answer to my question would be, I mean, what you've iterated a few times is music is influential because it's about relationships.
Yeah.
So it connects people,
Yeah.
right, to their feelings or however they're feeling,
Right.
or, you know, so that makes a lot of sense as to why music can be so influential, in the positive and as well as the not so positive light in people's lives, depending on what path you're walking.
And that's so true. So I remember Miguel asked me kind of what I was learning in college. We didn't get to that, but so what happens in college is during World War II, these composers who would create beautiful music were just kind of, I think, becoming disillusioned with life, just sing the horror of war. And the music that came out of that time, it's called atonality, and it means without, it basically disregards everything God's created. Remember we talked about how there's notes within one note that create a major chord,
right,
that form our foundation of listening to music that's pleasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a chord. Atonality throws it all out the window intentionally. They don't allow you to do that, and you get so it's like you get all these harsh, and people will listen to this, and it basically what happened is like these people are going through World War II, all they see is death, and they completely disregard everything God's built into music to make it pleasing, and they say we're rejecting all that because we've seen this war and we're disillusioned with it all. We don't want to be pleased. This is what we're experiencing. And so that's what.
So they
that
intentionally
type of music,
do that? They intentionally did that?
Yeah, this guy called Arnold Schoenberg, who's German, wrote beautiful romantic. Romantic doesn't mean like ooh la la, hey babe, I love you. Romanticism is a movement, an artistic movement, and I think the 18th century, where people were fascinated with the mysterious, fascinated with passion, fascinated. It wasn't necessarily romance. So he composed beautiful music, but World War II happens, and he just becomes disenchanted. He's isolated himself for like 10 years, comes back with this ugly, grotesque music, and then changed the whole classical. If you ever go to a classical concert and it's weird, that was a major pivot point where World War II happened and people just became disenchanted with the beauty of music, and they just said, that's not, I guess to them it may have not been real or authentic. They're like, this is my life right now. So like you said, music can be tapping into good relationship, or all that can break down and it can become really something really ugly.
So I remember there was a certain period in your life where you could not play anymore.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
So if you want to break that down and kind of share with us.
That happened during college. This is largely my fault, not to condemn myself or beat myself up, but it was, so I loved playing music so much, and I guess I'm just a tryhard. I guess that could be a good thing. I wanted to practice for hours and hours and hours on end. I wanted to perfect my craft. I wanted to become, not the best, but excellent at what I did. I was like, I want to learn this stuff and I want to do this. So I threw common sense out the window, and I would practice. Like one semester I was practicing one piece or multiple pieces. These were hard, you had to stretch your hands out and hammer pianos, right? And during the piece, you only had to do that for 30 seconds. But if you had to learn this passage, a 30-second thing can turn into hours and hours of practice. So I would practice pieces for maybe 3 to 4 hours straight, every other day, a day. And I was doing that, right? And then I'd start feeling nerve pain, burning, like shooting. And I guess part of it was, male ego, like suck it up, buttercup, and keep playing. And part of it was lack of self-control. I just loved playing it so much, and I knew what I was doing wasn't right. I wasn't being a good steward with my body.
Wasn't healthy.
It wasn't healthy. It was imbalanced, but I lacked self-control, and so I just kept going. And then I was playing cello for Alpha and Omega. I was playing percussion. I was in like a symphonic percussion ensemble, doing that. I was playing piano for a church, so I was probably playing my band, so I was always exerting, always 24/7 every day, and so it caught up to me. So
you basically burned your hands out.
Yeah.
Nerves
It came to the point. I remember the morning. One of the mornings, I kept playing. I kept ignoring it, and then one morning I couldn't pick up tea. Like I was that broken. I tried picking up a teacup, and I just remember being like I couldn't. Like you lose grip strength, and then like it'll get to the point where like you're so weak and it's such pain that you can't physically pick it up, and if you try, it's gonna hurt you big time. So
Wow.
I couldn't pick up tea one morning, and I was like, ooh, not good. So yeah, from that point on, I was.
Sorry, I looked at the camera right when she turned to me. I was all
Nice.
always, yeah.
So from that point, it was about a year where I couldn't really play much at all. I would
So
try.
did you go to the doctor, or what'd you do?
So I went to my doctor, and I probably went to, not exaggerating, I'm going to say 7 to 8 specialists. These were getting x-rays. These were nerve doctors. These were...
So what were they saying that it was?
They were telling me everything else that I knew to be true. Well, some of them not necessarily. I remember one told me it's your genetics. That's the reason you have this. And I'm like, that could factor into it, but I know why I'm here. Like, it was my fault. So I went to a bunch of specialists. One of them told me it was genetics. I knew it wasn't necessarily true. Could have factored into it. And then I went to others, and I just told them my story. And they said, okay, well, yeah, it makes sense. Repetitive stress injury. And one of them didn't really listen to me and just said, your immune system and this is arthritis. And I was like, and I told him my story, and he's like, oh, my bad, I was wrong. So throughout that experience,
Wow.
I kind of lost some confidence in doctors. Like I went to so many specialists, and I was hoping that, they could fix me. I was like, man, I just want to get back to playing. And it was pure. I want to glorify God. I miss playing in church. It's just a joy in my life. I loved it. And
would you say that there was a point though where when you were playing that it started to become your idol?
No, honestly not. No,
I just think what happened
yeah.
is, like you said, you played yourself.
I played myself.
You know what I'm saying? Like you burned your fingers out or your nerves or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be.
So it was just wear and tear.
Wear and tear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that lasted a year?
So no, this started 2017. I transferred to U of A in 2017, and it happened. So either 2016 or 2017. So I couldn't play much for about a year. So then after a year, I could play, let's say about a year. Like I could try playing for like 5 minutes, and then I'd be on fire, and I had to stop. And so, so throughout this, I just started going to physical therapy. I went to physical therapy for a year, just kind of rebuilding everything. And so then the second year, I was able to play in increments. Like I can play for 10 minutes, then I'd have to take a break for 2 days, 10 minutes here, take a break for 3 days, and then lack of self-control would kick in again. I was like, I just want to play. And then I'd be out for a week, And so that's kind of the way the second year went. And then the third year, 2019 and 2020, I started, I just kept going to physical therapy. And at that point, I was like, I was physically and kind of spiritually broken, because it can kind of come with some condemnation. Like, you know why you're here, Josh. Like, this is you.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I kept working at it, kept doing. And then I talked to my Uncle Nate. And me and my Uncle Nate have a really good relationship. And so, but he's like me, but in some way he's not. Like, I'm a thinker. I'm like, okay, A plus B is C. I have all my reasons, and I go off of those reasons.
Yeah.
That's the way I think. But Nate just told me his experience. He's like, I broke myself when I was training for the military, for the Army, and I had to push through the pain and work to heal myself. And I was like, okay, that's part of the reason I'm here, Nate. I pushed through the pain. So I was being stuck. The Bible says a fool has no delight in understanding, but in expressing his own heart.
Yeah.
So I had to just say, I'm going to at least try this out, because he's been here before. And so I couldn't do push-ups for like 2 to 3 years. And so I started with doing 5 push-ups. I said, today I'm going to do 5 solid, all the way up, all the way down, just 5, if I can do it. So I started with 5 push-ups. Then this started pre-COVID, a little bit before COVID. So I went from 5 to 15, 5 push-ups one day, 6 push-ups the next day, 7 push-ups, 15, then back down to 10, to 20, to 15, to 25, so on and so on. And so a big breakthrough started happening as I just started doing push-ups. Like I was unable for a while, and then
that was helping strengthen.
Yeah, it was weird
to play.
To play, I couldn't play. I haven't been able to play cello since 2017, and I just played cello last week.
But you also changed your diet, you said, right? As far as your eating habits.
So I had to.
Dang, bro.
Yeah,
Keto.
I love sugar. My first dentist appointment, I had 7 cavities. That should tell you I love sugar, and so I wanted to play that bad. So I said, okay, At first, I was like, I'm gonna do full blown keto, and so then I just didn't eat any sugar.
You did keto?
I did keto, no sugar.
How long did you do keto for?
Probably 2 weeks. Didn't. Oh no.
It's demonic, huh?
No. No.
Rebuke it.
That's not correct. I did it for maybe 2 months. I remember I was faithful to it for a while.
So you were backsliding for 2 months.
I was backsliding. Yeah. And then so after, it just wasn't sustainable. Maybe I just wasn't that strong to be that disciplined. So I was like, okay, I need something that's balanced. Maybe it's not perfect, but I need something more balanced to where I know I can do it. So then most recently, I Monday through Friday, I'll eat low carb, low sugar. So I'll still have a little bit of sugar. I'll just look at the grams. Okay, it's under 6 grams. I'll have a bowl of cereal in the morning, and then, okay, this piece of celery, this thing of peanut butter, this cottage cheese, these chicharrones, whatever. Low carbs, low sugar. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I break. I enjoy food. I have sugar. But that's been kind of working well to where it still hurts to play, but I can play for half an hour as opposed to 5 minutes. And I can have more recovery time.
I think it just goes to show you that sometimes we look for spiritual answers.
Yeah.
But God's all like, not everything, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like you said, that you knew I'm the person that did this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. It wasn't sin or because I was doing this. It was just I worked myself too hard.
Yeah.
Therefore, I need to discipline my body.
Yeah.
Eating and
that's very true
because
like my own outlook at it from when I talked to him, because I remember when you told me that they thought it was arthritis. I was in your room and you were showing me. I was like, "Hey, I can't play. I'm just composing right now.
Yeah,
like on the computer, you're just putting music together." And I was like, "Dang!" And so, in my head, I was like, "Man, I wonder if that became his idol or if he was just, obsessed with it." And God's like, "No, you gotta have to wait." So, even people on the outside looking in, we could overanalyze just the basics of, life. You just overworked your muscles and jacked yourself up. You know, not everything's that spiritual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's good.
And when you grew up in church, you've been in church for any period of time. That's like your default.
The more you know, it's not necessarily
hell,
help sometimes.
No, it's
Brother,
not.
I think you're bitter. That's why you can't play anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's
and that's the thing. I would pray for healing, and I believed God to heal me. No, I believe God could heal me. I didn't come to that point where I believe God would. I just believe he could. And so I keep going up for prayer. And sometimes I'd feel something, but it wouldn't be fixed. And I just came to the conclusion. It's like, hey, God can do whatever he wants. Sometimes he says no. I'm trusting in him.
So I think what you learned probably is self-control.
I'm learning present progressive. Yeah.
So you're learning self-control. That was probably the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Right?
No, definitely.
And then you have because now you're controlling what you eat.
Yeah.
Now you're controlling, how long you play.
Right.
How hard you play.
Yeah.
And so on.
More or less, yeah.
You know what? I want to go back to something you said when this composer during World War II.
Yeah.
And you said it was atonal?
Atonal. Atonal.
So the reason he did that was because he saw what was going on in the war.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to take something that's beautiful and I'm going to make it my own, twist it, make it unbeautiful so it can reflect what's going on as to what I see.
Yeah.
Right? And that just kind of made me think of, how Satan, right?
Yeah.
Takes what God made, twists it, right, and then presents it to us, right? Or sometimes we take our talents, right, and because stuff around us isn't going as we see fit, we take the talents that God gave us, something beautiful, our voice, right, our talents, whatever the case may be, and we twist it because we want it to reflect how we feel inside and what's going on around us.
Right.
And I feel like it's really relevant to what's happening today. You know what I'm saying? Like, God has created something so beautiful. God's created multiple things that we can use to worship Him and bring glory to His name.
Yeah.
But because of stuff that's happening around us, you know what I'm saying? People that are looking for answers, consciously or subconsciously take that and they twist it. Yeah. But that's because it's an expression of how they feel, expression of their lives.
Right.
You know, sometimes they don't even mean it. You know, they just say, hey, I just live like this. I've twisted this because of how I feel inside.
Right.
So
it's their perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's interesting because people that play music, you know, in the Bible, it says, out of the abundance of
the heart,
the mouth speaks. Mm-hmm. You can even go as far as to say, like, for musicians, whatever's inside is gonna come out through your music. You know, for creators, I should say, because there's the people that play covers and it's whatever. But like for people that are actually creating music and trying to express how they feel,
right,
that really comes out in what you hear throughout their music.
And that's crazy because I think back and it's some part of it's a mystery. I don't have it all figured out, but like I remember I was in class, 17 years old. Wet behind the ears, freshman, and I was just playing the piano, and this girl just broke down and started crying. And it's just something I made, something I just came up with, and I just started playing it, and she just left the room, and she was just crying, and I was like, what's that about? And so, but yeah, it's like, I hope that's God, and I prayed from like, God, you would, you override my ego and just anoint what I'm doing, and just bless it and minister it. And I think sometimes it's cool because I was in college for my senior year, I did a concert where I wrote music about the Bible. And so you can look at, like Arnold Schoenberg looked at World War II and he just saw the evil, but he didn't see the good, right? Mm-hmm. And his music was just imbalanced. Sometimes gruff, dissonant, sometimes it's not pleasant, but it's true. And that's the difference between art. That's what we learned in college. Entertainment is always supposed to please the audience because you're making money off of people. But art isn't about entertaining people. Art is about telling someone something, telling a story, expressing. So I did a piece of music for when Jesus was dying on the cross, and he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, right? Which is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Mm-hmm. And so in that piece, Anissa Martin sang it, and then some other musicians played it. But for me, it was powerful because I got to tap into what Arnold Schoenberg tapped into, that gruff, disturbing, unsettling, like, this isn't good. It's not well. I tapped into that, not exclusively, but I used that. And then I went to, when Jesus said it is finished, and I went to tonality and I said, but here's the good, right? And so when I was just reading this week, when Jesus had talked to his disciples, and he's like, before before I'm glorified, I have to suffer. And so it's cool because you can use music to tell the whole story. Like, I guess one of my pet peeves with Christian music is it doesn't tell the whole story. It just says, hey, God is good and life is great, and just have faith. But it doesn't say, hey, Jesus said, hey, God, why have you forsaken me?
You wanna play a little bit from that song?
So you see both sides of it, basically.
You see both, and so
it's like kind of like our lives, right? God, we come in, we're all untuned. We're the World War II version. We don't have, we're atoned or whatever you want to call it.
But you don't see the hope.
But what God sees is, I can write a song with your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can take the chords that are messed up.
Take the suffering.
And use it.
And glorify. Yeah.
And mesh it together with my chords.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that becomes your testimony.
Right.
Right? Because when you give your testimony, you're giving people that you're playing the ugly part of your life. You're telling, hey, this is how I came in. Yeah. But then Jesus came into my life, tuned me, right? And now because of that,
that's the whole picture.
There you go, and that's your testimony, right? And whatever, your strings can be all tangled up and whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's mind blowing how God is in everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And until you sit down and you don't talk about things like this, because me, I'm not musically inclined at all. You know what I'm saying? But as I'm hearing you, You know what I'm saying? It's amazing that God is in everything. God did create everything from a tone to a chord to everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's just yeah, man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's very good,
yeah.
man. Do you want
Pianist.
to play a song for us that you
I can.
that you wrote?
So I guess this is kind of one.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good idea.
I haven't played it in a while,
Mm-hmm.
so it's gonna be sketchy and there might be some mess ups, but it kind of does that.
Every musician says that.
Hey,
So,
but
I don't really know.
Is
how
it the
to-
song that you usually play with your folks?
With my folks.
Yeah, when you guys this way
No,
out. Oh, okay.
This
okay.
is
okay.
this is one of the so like there's worship songs and there's outreach songs and then there's just life songs. So
Okay.
this is kind of one of the life songs, right?
Okay.
It's just something, and it's kind of like what we talked about. Jesus is on the cross, you've forsaken me, and then the light's at the end of the tunnel. So this was
Go for it.
I'm gonna
man.
try to get through it, and we'll see what happens. But it's me singing, so bear with me. But yeah, okay. I'm walking by faith, but I don't see the change yet. I don't see the change. I'm living in love, but I can feel the hate, yeah. I can feel the hate. I'm looking to you, but I still see myself in all the sin I do, and all the weight just brings me down. I don't wanna go on, I don't wanna go on. I know all the stains you found in me. I don't wanna go on, I don't wanna go on. When I'm dead and gone, would it matter if I go on through these darkest days, through higher ways? Now I'm standing face to face with Jesus, staring at eyes full of grace, and the tears in mine are gone. Why didn't I go on? Why didn't I go on? Why didn't I go on? You came to your own, but they despised you, they rejected you. You gave your love to those who left you, they abandoned you. You live righteously, but God still judged you for the sin in me and all the weight that brings me down. You carried it into the ground, carried it into the ground, and all the guilty stains in me were nailed with you into a tree. The sin that I so dearly hide, exposed beneath the darkened sky. The shame of my iniquity was put on you for all to see. So why did you go on? Why did you go on? Before I'm dead and gone, I will think of why you went on through those darkest days, through higher ways. Now you've risen from the grave, victorious. Take taking back the life you gave. This is why you went on, for the joy set before you. You endured the cross there before you, for the joy set before you. You despise the shame placed upon you. Now you're seated on high, risen and glorified. You were sentenced to death, but now death is sentenced to die. The glory is yours, the honor is yours, the power is yours, and my heart is yours. Oh, captain of my salvation, I will go on.
Bam.
Dang, bro.
Nice.
I forgot all the chords, so I was just like,
Nah, bro, that was.
pick those chords.
I was trying to figure out what you were playing, but with it being upside down and
It's more,
I'm
it's
just
like E major.
yeah.
E major with some spice.
With a D in there somewhere, I saw. That's all I saw. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I recognize that chord.
I didn't recognize
Great
nothing.
stuff, bro. Great
Cool.
stuff. I wasn't even expecting you to sing, bro. I was like, oh, he's gonna play like a. I was like, oh, he's
Oh, it's a song. You got to sing it.
yeah, bro. That's
Yeah.
that's what's up, dude.
That was really good.
Cool. Praise God.
Josh, I want to thank you, bro, for taking the time to come on this podcast. I feel like a lot of people are going to enjoy this. This is a good treat, a change of pace. If you guys enjoy this content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Give us a like, share it. Just let us know, because I'm going to keep throwing stuff out there until you guys say, hey, let's do more of this. And obviously, huh?
How to play a guitar.
How to play a guitar, you know, just the basics.
Beginner.
There you go.
Yeah, good basics. How to play guitar, you know, and maybe I'll get my guitar out too. We could jam a
Hey,
little
that'd be
bit.
tight. Hey,
Yeah,
that would be
Jam
good.
sesh.
Yep, little jam sesh
yeah.
podcast. One quick thing I would just want to throw out there is we were kind of talking about at the end is if you're hearing this podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have Jesus in your heart, you don't have a relationship with God, He can literally take your life and make it something beautiful. He can make a song out of you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
very good.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to throw that out there, man. You're listening. You know, we have people that come up to us and say, "Hey, I listen to your podcast," and you know,
Oh, dude, that's a
you
good
know,
point.
they don't
right?
have a relationship with Christ, right? And if you're one of them, you know, I encourage you, right? It doesn't matter how messed up your strings are, per se. Jesus can straighten you out, and he can make your life
dude, just to
beautiful
piggyback
song.
off of you, bro.
Yeah.
There's a guy that commented on the video with Billy Ramirez. He commented like a week ago saying, "I love this show. Still rapping all the way from Sweden. Bless y'all." And so I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." You know, his name is Smokey Red Path. I want to give a shout out to him because he just commented again. Said, "We're out here in Sweden and we're mostly atheists. Your show makes me believe."
Yeah.
He said, I've been struggling a lot in my 29 years, and I'm starting to feel the presence of the Lord.
Amen.
Yeah. So there's a
I believe in bigger things.
Yes.
there's a scripture, and so I can relate because, you know, my uncle's an atheist, and so sometimes we can save that for another show. But what I can say for my own for this is for me to use, Smokey, who wherever you are, God can work with. God says, "Come now, let us reason together." So be encouraged that God is a reasoning God, and you don't have to be afraid of questioning God or bringing problems to God. You can reason to God, and He says, "Though your sins are as scarlet, I will make them white as snow." And you're like, "What do I reason to God about? What do I talk to God about? What do I figure out?" Start with Jesus. The Bible says Jesus is the wisdom of God. So if you want to know about God, you want to know something, you want to reach out to God, Jesus, you know, Jesus is as deep. You can't get deeper than Jesus. You can't go further than Jesus. It seems simple, but just look at the life of Jesus, look at what Jesus said, and ask God to show you that he's real. Ask God, test God. If you're a real scientist, you'll test things, and that's something God supports.
Yeah.
God says, test me, try me. And so I was
want good. Amen.
Yeah, just go for it, man.
Yeah.
Reach out to Jesus, test God, ask him questions, go all out. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? Real quick. So you said a cord is 3, right?
Yeah.
So the Bible says in Ecclesiastes that a 3-cord strand is not easily broken. Although the cord is not spelled CHORD, it's spelled CORD. You know what I'm saying?
I made that point the other day. Remember we were talking about
I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
You know
Relationship.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Music is powerful because it's about relationships.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I believe music goes a lot deeper than we're ever going to understand. But it's a gift that God has given to us, and also a tool that God has given us to provide worship to him. So it's very important that you incorporate that in your life, because we're creatures of worship. You're going to worship something, right?
Right.
Whether it be yourself, whether it be your girlfriend, whether it be money,
your body,
whether it be your body, you can worship anything. So I believe music takes a special role to provide that platform to worship the Creator. So there has a purpose, and also it has a purpose of enjoyment too. So
be careful what music you listen to too.
Yeah, we did an episode on that too. Yeah,
That's right.
Yep. So I want to thank you, Josh, for taking the time to jump on this episode with us. If you're out there and you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, like, share. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us a good rating so we can get there in the algorithm. You know how it works. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.